Greetings and welcome to my dear Capricorn. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. Tarot of the Twin Sun is a functional division within the Order of the Twin Sun. Please take only what you will. We shall be focusing on a tool known as the Great Mirror, which is a tool, essentially an instrument of the tarot, in which we can see the particular energies that may resonate for Capricorn in terms of their energy, someone else's, and the mirror in between. What manifests is essentially the karmic thread that exists between Capricorn and a significant other. However significant they may be, it will be dependent on what type of resonance you find with a particular person that you may know in the past or in the present or maybe even in the future. So we'll go ahead and begin with a little bit of a karmic reading. Now, as far as commentary goes, Saturn, your primary ruler, as it pertains to a solar energy, there's an essence of gravity that all that Saturn sort of exhibits. Okay, and the thing is that Saturn actually it gets a very negative rap. Okay, essentially the essence of time. The essence of cycles are exhibited through Saturn's energy, and also the great rings of Saturn are indicative of the sort of binding energy that Capricorn and tends to embody. Okay, that which is matter essentially has gravity, and there's a sort of pull to that is centripetal in nature, and it is designed to create either harmonic resonances or compressions that are limiting in such a way that it creates reality, that it creates, in essence, that which we work with every day. Now, when it comes to the significant other, the energy of the moon dominates the 7th house placement away from Capricorn. So what is opposite to Saturn is the moon. Okay, so there's this constant need to understand, especially through others or significant others, the energy of the moon, which is tied to the womb, as well as the feminine left side of the equation, which is the subtle force, the reception force. Now Capricorn, having this cardinal energy, it wants to express and reach out to watery figures, okay, mother figures primarily, in which there should be an essence of nurture to water the earth, to water what has been deemed material in nature. So this axis is very special in that it speaks of the emotional self, okay? These people that you deal with, the emotional self that they have, the capacity for love, the capacity for healing or nurturing in some sort of way. And it allows for a negotiation in terms of what can be given, in terms of what can be taken in a way. And Capricorn can play either the energy of the giver or the receiver, and it tends to sort of it tends to come out in such a way that we are indebted to the natural creative force that feminine energy has. Okay, the Shakti, the sort of essence of karma, the essence of purpose comes out in these types of relationships. Okay, and rant. Now let's go ahead and look into what's going on in terms of karma for the month of October. Sorry for any delays or any sort of spaces. I've been very busy with a move and preparing a visa for all of that, and it's been very, very consuming in terms of my own energies. I also have a lot of clients these days. If you need a reading, I can be made available. However, it's just I'm kind of busy until October. Okay, for October, Mercury is very much on the cards. So from the period of now, whenever this is published, into October, Mercury's effect and retrograde in the 6th and 7th houses those energies of Virgo and Libra are very much into consideration. Now, this has to do with the ego death of you trying to balance out two different realities or be in between spaces. Okay, it's a point of enigmatic poise. Okay, it's a strange way of behaving. It's human behavior, essentially. And because of Mercury retrograde and its sort of movement back into Virgo and then forward into Libra, there is this energy of also a combustion that is tied to the solar energy of the sun, that the mind can be saturated, and it may feel like there is a strange way of behaving for the month of October that has been sort of debilitated by a Mercury retrograde. Now, because of Mercury's movement into Virgo for whenever it's placed there, and it's also tied to Libra, there's an edgy way of criticism that may emerge out of this self-criticism, also trying to question your own methods, your own behaviors, or behaviors of others, and then not being no one being understood because of the element of perfection that's being projected onto any situation. You may be dealing with two situations, one in the past, one in the present or the future, and it has to do with essentially finding a way into an expression of experience, okay, a way of finding the hidden scar in a situation that has to do with the future, especially trying to understand and heal in some sort of way the energy of trying to feel like your experience, that you've learned something, that you are wise when it comes to the importation of wisdom in some sort of way, of dharma especially. This has to do also with finding the truth in what you do, by accepting a platform. Now, one is in the future, one is in the past. Now, the one in the future, it has to do with an element of sacrifice when it comes to tension. This has to do with purification. It has to do with looking over what you've been through in terms of one experience into the future. Into the past, there's an element of trying to find, excuse me, a still point, a restful space, a need for meditation, a need for silence, especially silencing the mind, okay? But I see here a type of gross realization that comes from an element of joy that is in October, and that's a very good thing. The difficulty is that you kind of have to play the jester or the clown when it comes to how you are being perceived in terms of your own perception or others' perception on you when it comes to relationships or your work, okay? That's the 6th and 7th houses. Also, obstacles. How do you negotiate all of that? Now, there's a way to do this, okay? If you look retrospectively in the way you've done things, there's an element here in which you can find stillness in the way you have processed pain or found truth through pain, okay? This has to do a lot in the past with finding truth through pain. And finding the silent space, the safe space in order to ruminate or meditate on that. That has to do with the past. In the future, there's a possibility of great inspiration that comes through friends or through gateways that have been opened up in the past 2 months, okay? That allow for essentially a way into massive creation, massive potential. Excuse me. But that's the thing. It's something that you have not experienced yet before. It's something that you may have thought you've missed in terms of a rite of passage, or maybe your intuition didn't hit you in the right way. But I see here a very beautiful Leonic energy that is coming for you that activates your 5th house in the future. In the past, it activates essentially, I would say, your 7th house. So there's movement in between both of those. Now, when Mercury goes direct into Libra, once again, there's the sun that would combust it because of solar energy Libra in the coming month. There's this energy of essentially, I would say, not really thinking too much, or something about a latent heat wave in the way you process information, or the way you deal with realities, or you deal with multiple projects. There's an ability to find a still point somewhere in all of that. especially when it comes to your work, or when it comes to the way you treat your reality. There's an elegance or a grace, or at least a part of you that is getting socially sort of recognized, and the way to approach it is how you're being recognized at the same time. Other people's opinions really shouldn't matter at the end of the day when it comes to how you do things in relationships and work. I'm gonna try this deck, today, and it's a 1973 deck, I believe. I forget the name of it, but it's a very special deck with a cool background, very psychedelic, fractal in nature. I think this is made by US Game Systems, and I think it's a type of Rider-Waite. Good God, I can't believe I've forgotten the name of this. Oh yes, it's the Royal Fez Moroccan Tarot deck. Royal Fez Moroccan. So it's a Spanish deck. Royal Fez Moroccan Tarot deck. So we're jumping into the Great Mirror now. Once again, the Great Mirror is a tool devised by the Order in order to see particular karmas that may exist between Capricorn and a significant other, however significant they may be. Depends on your own particular situation. Person, place, or thing. Interesting. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is a negotiation of the gateway, walking through triumphal arches, seeing challenges beyond the arch, knowing that things may be futile, and the way you offer up your services when it comes to work, when it comes to connections, relationships, something about how you have been doing things has not been good for you. There is a reckoning here that I see when it comes to your energy that has to do with a way of making innocent your offers again in one way, shape, or form, especially when it comes to negotiating with relationships, trying to rise up, trying to be understood or be recognized for your efforts. And they are there. When it comes to this situation or relationship with another, you're generally speaking quite innocent and quite practical about the way you portray, especially an emotional way of providing an effect or some sort of gift for someone. And I like that energy. However, you are dealing with someone who is really sort of in their head when it comes to the way they handle things. There's a lot of pain in what I see with them. This is the kind of situation that involves a great deal of karma when it comes to cycles and ways of thinking that have become apparent truths for them. But these truths, by their very nature, the way of thinking that they have, essentially causes them a great deal of cyclical pain that has gone at least through 3 cycles, That could be years, 3 lifetimes, three something, 3 months. There's something about them that is trying to avoid this pain at all costs. And the funny thing is that what they're projecting into the situation essentially is a way to rewrite the scripts, a way to understand some of the more deeper language when it comes to symbolically representing their own hand in what they do with this type of affair. Okay, this could be anyone that you know in a community or socially, on social media, even perhaps, maybe even someone closer than that. But what I see here is a lot that has to do with the mind, and both of you encompass this energy of regret when it comes to what could have been, what could have been had. Now I see that you are actually coming into a brighter point in all of this. We have the Two of Cups that comes through Temperance, plus the Ace of Cups that comes through the Page of Cups. Okay. With that, there's a possibility of truly understanding the essence of the Three of Cups that it comes to be, especially if you incorporate the ninth house, if you incorporate temperance, if you incorporate a way to convert the expectations that you may have and the offers that you give, and also try to convert all of that into something new. There's a cycle here. It has to do with reconfiguring your happiness, and this has to do with the self, okay? Your higher self, essentially. And I like this, considering the King of Pentacles has come up twice in this reading. Now, if I know Capricorns, they are pretty savvy with their work and their commitment to the 6th house as well, the 10th house. Now, the interesting dynamic of this is that there's a lot that has to do with the activation. It has to do with, it's kind of like the Wheel of Fortune, but it's tied around this Ace of Pentacle that I see here that the King holds for Capricorn. There's something about negotiating a cycle, okay, when it comes to that. You may be done with a certain type of economy or a certain way of doing things that is old-fashioned, that does not embrace the ingenuity that you see in terms of optimism, okay? And I see this in terms of Capricorn's energy, optimism coming in strong. At the same time, on a soul level, there's something about the quest for truth when it comes to a sort of real representation of what really holds water for Capricorn. Okay, now it really depends on essentially trying to find a communion with another person that incorporates an element of awareness. Or you may be seeking for someone who can be self-aware in terms of the depth and the love that can exist between you and this person. It doesn't have to be romantic love. It can be any form of humanitarian grace that you may be trying to seek. Now, the King is spinning the wheel. He's spinning essentially the Ace of Pentacles to bring about something. What is coming here is I see 2 pentacles that have reflected what Capricorn has been doing, and a negotiation of fair play, trying to give to the right person or the right party or the right project. The thing is that generally speaking, you're encountering a lot of people, or at least one person, that is significantly fucked up in terms of psychological psychoses. Okay, they have to be snapped out of this. This may not be for everyone, but what I see is someone who's been dodging quite a bit when it comes to finding a balance within the mind, okay, within the way that they think and the way that they speak or they write. Okay, this has to do a lot with Mercury retrograde in general. So I wouldn't be surprised if you've been dealing with a lot of people, especially friend circles or anyone in your city, anyone that you see on the street or at social places, that essentially incorporate this fear mentality, trying not to get hurt, but then not finding the right balance or the right still point that would sort of bring forward an element of balance in general. But the good thing is that hard work is here on the horizon. There's an element of both of you essentially working on the pentacle, okay, which is symbolic of a star, of the sun, of the authority that in which you can sort of spin the pentacle to your favor. And this has to do with perfection as well as a way of doing things. I think faith has been lost between you two. But this does not mean that there is no love in terms of what is really being tried, to be found and sought out in terms of balance, equilibrium, and honoring essentially Virgoan tendencies, Virgoan energy, which is purity, innocence, and transactions that are economical and sound and sort of equal. And it's important to find a way to that energy. Primarily, what comes out of the mirror is the Nine of Pentacles. Okay, so that has to do with the movement from the 8 to the 9 of Pentacles, trying to intuit what is right to be done in order so that karmic accounts can be balanced out between both of you. Okay, this has to do with not being foolish. It has to do with being practical. So embrace practicality. If you feel like this person is suppressing their pain or trying to find a way to suppress their thoughts or become dull in some sort of way, call that out. At the same time, there's something about you embodying the energy of patience or being blessed with the alchemy of converting expectations into something more practical, and thus the wheel turns. There's something about that that also speaks of very deep-seated emptiness on your end when it comes to your efforts. So the idea here is to embrace Jupiter and to find patience in all of that you try to bring in. Because if you don't have patience, essentially you're going to bring in the wrong things. Not to say that this person, place, or thing is wrong for you. I think there's a lot to be learned in terms of these people who will come in and sort of befuddle themselves when it comes to cycles of the mind that are designed to give them pain or designed to give them some sort of psychoses, okay? However, don't worry, there is a type of transformation on the horizon. It's happening without either of you knowing, and this will lead to essentially you finding an element of truth and also being open to these types of people in the future in order to see if your gestures when it comes to love are actually affirmatively taken. And they're innocent in nature. That's what I like about it. There's this innocence and control that I like, but a lot of emotions on your end, and a lot of thoughts on their end, a lot of thinking, too much thinking on their end. And that causes a lot of trouble because there is no bridge when it comes to this of becoming emotionally intellectual, emotionally intelligent when it comes to handling this. So consciously, what comes out of it is the Fool in reverse. Okay. But I like this Ace of Pentacle, and it combines that with the Two of Pentacle. There's a lot that has to do with perfection here and doing the right thing, and I think that's very honorable on your end. Do wish you well, and thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.